Who you got at number 4?
I'm trying to save one for last, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with another team that's kind of in that same realm. They would pick 11th if the season ended today, and it's not getting any better for them. And that would be the Dallas Cowboys. 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins. You know, you come off that skull effing by Green Bay at your crib. It's embarrassing. Jerry says, nah, you know what? We're getting the band back together. We're going all in with this squad. Jerry, your owner came out and said, I believe we can win a Super Bowl with this team as assembled. And to be fair, he wasn't really wrong with that sentiment. I mean, you won 12 games. You were a juggernaut last year, really, truly. You know, you beat Detroit in at home. You know, they can play the reporting as eligible game all they want. Like, you won that game. CeeDee Lamb had 1,000,000 yards. Like, it was you were beating teams that were true contenders. And to come off that loss and be so embarrassed and then come into this year with no run game, no real answer for your loss of Tyron Smith at left tackle. No real, I mean, you hope that the rookie would work out, and he's been good. You know, Tyler Guyton's been decent from what I've seen, but I don't know if he's Tyron Smith, right? And you for some reason, like, kick the can down the road. You don't sign anybody in the offseason. You kick the can. Then you give CeeDee Lamb his money, and then you 25 minutes before kickoff, you sign Dak Prescott to the biggest NFL contract of all time.
Unreal.
And to me, it just screams like it's and this is such a Detroit native thing, but it feels like Mike Ilitch at the end of his life when he was just throwing money at the Tigers, and it didn't really make sense fully. It was kind of like, what are we doing exactly here? Like, it works, right? Like, we were a really good team, but we didn't have that, we didn't have the right pieces brought in to put us over the top. You know what I mean?
And it was a mosh posh of talent. Yeah.
100%. And that's what I feel like you walked into this year with, right? It was like, all right, let's make CeeDee the second highest paid wide receiver of all time. Let's make Dak the highest paid quarterback of all time. Micah, we're not even going to worry about you. And it's like, well, that's kind of stupid. I would think I would have paid Micah and CeeDee before I paid Dak, frankly, because Dak hasn't shown me that he deserves the richest contract in NFL history. You know what I mean? And I feel like they come in, they get their, they beat the Browns week 1. It was a solid win. It was like, okay, this team, they'll be fine, right? Turns out the Browns suck. They're sitting at 2-7 currently. And then you get your doors completely blown off by the Saints, who just got their first win since their Super Bowl against you guys in week 2. Who would currently pick 7th in the top 10 and are 3-7 right now.
Yep.
And I mean, Detroit embarrasses you at your house. Like Alabama week 2 type stuff.
That was a reckoning.
It was a reckoning. They also lost their depoy in the second quarter for the rest of the year. That's an injury that would destroy a team, no matter how, that's a momentum shift for you guys all day, right? All right, Aiden Hutchinson just broke his leg in half. Let's see if we can capitalize on this. And instead, you just proceed to continue to get your asses kicked in the most embarrassing fashion that I think I've ever seen in a football game. And that's kind of been the story of your season. Dak Prescott is now out for the remainder of the year. He's not going to play again, and
that injury too, apparently. It's not
Cooper Rush sucks, and Trey Lance sucks, and the highest paid player in NFL history is not coming back to save you. It's a nightmare. I mean, it's a nightmare situation that you're in.
It's amazingly well said, and I think that there is a huge disconnect between popular sentiment and narrative around what the Cowboys have been and what they've actually been. You said it, 12 wins 3 years in a row, only team in the league to do that. I've talked about this. I went to a game down there last year. They blew the brakes off of Los Angeles. It was like week 8. It was Halloween weekend last year at Jerry World.
Sure.
And me and my brother were talking to fans there, and, we're Lions fans. We were like, I think this team might be better than the Lions. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, top wide receiver in football last year. Dak Prescott, MVP candidate. This defense under Dan Quinn had dominant games, and it feels like that game at home in the playoffs really broke this team in a way that I just didn't foresee being this significant. This has been such a malpractice by Jerry, not bringing in a running back. By the way, they're second to last in the NFL in running yards per game.
I can't believe they're second to. Who's last?
God damn it, I can't remember. But it's Dallas's second to last, and I'm flaking on who the last place team is.
Crazy. I can't even imagine who the last place team is.
Yeah, it's egregious though. I mean, again, this is the best running back free agent class I've seen in my entire life. I turned 30 this year. Like it unreal guys that you could have brought in. Dak needs a run game. You knew that. You let the entire offseason play out without Dak and CD being re-signed. And what's interesting now, as you look at this team in this predicament, and you know what the worst part of this whole situation is, big picture? The whole idea, and I understand the thought behind it, was we have to pay Dak because we're never going to be bad enough.
Yeah.
As quarterback. Well, this year you are, actually, turns out. So you paid a guy that's now injured the most money in the National Football League to come quarterback for your team that you didn't surround him with. By the way, you have a coach playing his last year of the contract out who hasn't been fired or extended. That's unheard of. And doesn't it sort of feel like watching CeeDee Lamb right now in Dallas this season? It's like looking at an authentic Monet hanging in a dive bar. You're like, what is this guy doing here? It's like a Maserati in the driveway of a trap house. You know those pictures of like, where we come from, Detroit, where you drive by and it's like the Beamer in the parking lot of like this like absolute like wreck of it. And you're like, oh, it's Doughboys.
It's like the meme. It's the meme of like the Lambo in the trailer park. Yeah,
100%. It's Lambo in a trailer park, and you think to yourself like, well, what exactly are we doing here with this? Like, I've said this. He's my favorite wide receiver in the game. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think he's amazing. If you were going to bring him back, fine. But why are these guys not extended in the spring? Dak and CD extended in the spring. And then you work with what you got, and you bring in veterans, and you sign Derrick Henry. You sign Josh Jacobs. Hell, the list goes on. And it's like, I think big picture, the concern I have with this is, what's your play here? Like, what do you take with your 5th, 6th, 7th pick this year? Because you paid your quarterback a king's ransom, so you're stuck with that guy, who, by the way, you have no system in place because you're letting the coach go. That's done. And you've got a wide receiver now who's getting paid top dollar, who has nobody throw him the ball because Dak tore his hamstring off the bone. I don't think
Boise State running back Ashton Gentry.
Why didn't you draft the running back this year with one of your 3rd-round picks? I mean, Braylon Allen. The Jets took Braylon Allen in the 4th round. I mean, go get a guy. I mean, and Ashton Gentry's amazing, but like that's not going to solve their problems. It's big picture, man. I don't know how it could be any worse in Dallas, and I feel for Cowboys fans because no one's ever going to hear this. It's going to be lost in the abyss of football history. This was a good football team. Mike McCarthy's done 100%. A good job coaching this team. Dak Prescott's done a good job quarterbacking. Amari Cooper was good for you guys. Pollard was good for you guys. So, CeeDee Lamb's been amazing. Like, Dalton Schultz was good for you guys. And, if a tree falls in the forest and if a team wins 12 games in 3 years in a row and don't have anything to show for it, does anyone really remember? Like, no one's going to remember these teams. And they were good football teams, but it's over. And that's tough, man. That's a tough place to be. I guess it's my turn. And I guess this is where...
For what it's worth, we had them at 11 wins this year.
That's horrible. Yeah, that's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Yeah. And again, like we we saw a little bit of a regression happening, right? You and I both felt like Philly was going to win the
Yep.
division this year. I think we picked
Yep.
Philly to win the division, right?
We did. Yep.
But you and I both were like, this is a wild card team. Like Dak and CD aren't going to disappear. Micah Parsons not going to Well, it's one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah.